Lieutenant Colonel Jan Drabczuk, our VP Chapters. Jan?
Speech.
Hey. Well, good morning, everyone. Kind of want to let you know what we're going to do today is, like I said, we're going to have the chapter workshops. If you could put up the second chart, or do I do it myself here? Just a button here, Bill? Okay. No one's checked me out on this thing, so. All right. So we're going to try to keep to this schedule as much as we can, just for kind of a flow purposes. We've got a break scheduled at 9:30. The only change that might be is General Sinclair was going to pop in somewhere between 9 and 9:30 and just say a few minutes. And so we're going to go through this. All the slides are in the book. And kind of what I wanted to do was I was going to give you an overview of where the chapters stand. And if you have questions, if you can kind of keep them to the end, we'll try to keep a flow. If I see questions that are going to be long and drawn out, I'll probably just table them so we can get it to the end, so we can kind of keep to the agenda. Then we're going to break at 11:30 to go next door to the luncheon, and we'll have some presentations during the luncheon, and be kind of working through that. So that's kind of the plan. And Barbara over here, Barbara McCann, a lot of folks have talked to Barbara. Barbara works directly with me, so we're a team on this effort. And I'll have the other speakers will introduce their person as they come up. Barbara has a microphone. We're trying to record this. This is the first time we've ever done this. And so if you have a question that you want, in order to get it recorded properly, Barbara will hand you the microphone. So, you guys in the back, welcome to come on in and sit down. So, okay, next chart, please. All right. So, first of all, what I wanted to do was I'm just going to go around the room extremely quick. I don't want to really get names, but as I read your chapter, can somebody just raise their hand so I can see if the chapter is represented? These are the ones that responded that said they are coming. So I got Air Assault, okay, Aloha, Arizona, Aviation, Black Knights, Bluegrass, and Barbara, you can check them off on the list there if you wouldn't mind. So, Cedar Rapids, okay, Central Florida, Colonial Virginia, Connecticut, Cowboy, Delaware Valley, Embry-Riddle, Empire, Flint Hills, Flying Gator, the Flying Tigers, Greater Atlanta, Great Lakes, Griffin, Idaho Snake River, Iron Mike, Jimmy Doolittle, Lindbergh, MacArthur, Mid-Atlantic, Minuteman, Mohawk, Narragansett Bay, North Country, North Star, North Texas, Old Tucson, Prairie Soldier, Ragin' Cajun, Rio Grande, Southern California, Tar Heel, Tennessee Valley, Thunderbird, Volunteer, Voodoo, Washington Potomac, and our newest chapter, Yellowhammer. Okay, so first, that's a good thing. I think I'm missing maybe 6 chapters, which is Corpus is here. Do we have Corpus on here? Oh, we didn't even have you listed, so but I know you're here. So did I miss anybody? Keystone. Keystone? All right, so Barbara, Corpus, and Keystone are also here. Wright Brothers. Okay, so we're hitting pretty good. We've had about 45 chapters represented. Barbara's going to be sending you out a sign-in list for 2 reasons. One, as I go through the presentation, you'll see some of the problems we're having with communication. So we want to make sure we have a good email. We also have a limited amount of shirts that we're going to try to coordinate so everybody gets the right size. So if you would put your shirt size on there, we're going to try to get that sorted, that during the luncheon we'll be able to provide each one of you a shirt. Hopefully everyone gets their first choice on the size. So if you please sign that, and from there we will begin. Okay, next chart, please. Okay, we've had Quad A has had 70 chapters for the last 5 or 6 years, and we've just seemed to have hit a boom here in the last few months. We stood up the Yellowhammer chapter, which became our 71st chapter, and we stood up the Mohawk chapter, which was our first chapter out of New York, and we also just stood up last month the Yellowhammer chapter, which is out in Montgomery, and we will have a new chapter effective the 15th of this month out in Saudi Arabia, and we've got New Hampshire that is called and ready to start up a chapter, and I'm meeting with the UAE guys here at the conference. They want to do a chapter. We even gotten a call from Colombia. So the point is, we're on a roll for chapters. If we could pull this off, we will have one of the best growths we ever had as far as getting new chapters in place. And as you can see, they're everywhere. So if you guys want to do a field trip with your family during the day, you got somebody's house to stay in across the country. So that'll be good. And I will share everyone's names with everybody, so your wife will be very happy. All right, next chart. Just so everybody's straight, we try to take the chapters and put them in a sequence of how we try to put them in a grouping area. And you'll see in the books, most of the data you see in the books was a cutoff that was at the end of the year. So there's a few things that the new chapters aren't on there. But we try to group them in categories to be like chapters. And we have, as you know, the super chapters, super chapter, master, senior, and just a Quad A chapter. And what you see there is where you were at the end of the year. We try to regroup the chapters just to fine-tune them at the beginning of the year. So you'll see over to the right on the chart is for 2016, we've made it a little bit different. 500 and above is the super. 200 to 499 is the master. Senior, 75 to 199, and below is the regular Quad A. I've also tried to do something a little different. Now, this is not perfect, but you see the pie chart down below. I've tried to look at the chapters, and this is going to be an ongoing project, to look at the chapters and say, what kind of chapters are these as far as makeup of people? Because guard chapters work a little different than guys that are on active. OCONUS is different. So each one of these we're going to try to look at and try to get a spread. But these were the 5 groupings that we pretty much put things in. You know, we have like 3 student chapters, but that's the pie how we're broken up. So you can see, big piece over half of the grouping is really concentrated in the Guard and Reserve and some retirees that help to fill that in. So that's the statistic on that. Next chart. One question that always comes up on chapters, and like I said, there's a split. You know, my counterpart, now Dave Cooper, who's back there, and that's got the same haircut as me. Dave takes care of all the membership pieces, so he fills the pipeline, and kind of our split is once the pipeline is filled, we get them in the right buckets as far as what chapters are going to be doing. And so when you get a new member, we always put them into the zip code, 50-mile radius, or where their zip code is. And people say, well, I want to be with this chapter, I want to be with this chapter. Right now, the information system that's used at National is a hard-coded type system. It's not perfect to fix everything, and when they get a new iteration, things will become more automated. But we have a workaround right now that if anybody wants to be in a different chapter, if you go on the web, and quada.org, we put it in 2 places. We put it under membership, and we've put it under chapter. All you have to do is a procedure in there. You send an email. We do the manual change, and that person's in that other chapter. So it's a very simple procedure. I've laid it out here, but it is on the web of how to do it. And especially if you're forming up a new chapter or you get a group of people, the chapter president or somebody from the chapter can work. We can do that all seamlessly for you. So it is not as hard as people think it is, but you just need to know that it's a manual process that we will work to improve. But for right now, it does work. So if anyone has an issue with that, again, you can always get myself. Talking about that, I have put out my card out on the desk. So at any time, anything to do with chapters, you can get a hold of myself or Barbara, and we can get you to the right person or try to get things moving. The next chart is I'm going to spend a few minutes on, and this is chapter assessments. Any organization has to know what's going on at the root, and as we know, we say chapters are the first point of entry for what's going on out there with our membership. And as we looked at our chapters, we realized that we really didn't know what we had. We had good statistics on membership. We had statistics on scholarship. There's certain things we do very well tracking, but there's a lot of things going on in the chapter. So what we tried to do is to look at chapters, and we put you'll see in the spreadsheet we have a database I'm going to talk to you about here in a minute. But we're basically looking at, chapters are different. There's chapters out there that when you need something, you call the president, you get an answer in 10 minutes. When they need something, they call us, we get it. That's the perfect world. Fast response, up and down, and we call those kind of our blue chapters. We've got other chapters that ask us for help all the time, but we have a hard time kind of getting things from them back. And so we really don't know, how did your event go? What's going on? It's more of a one-way street. And then we have chapters that we call yellow chapters that are kind of really mildly active. In order to be a chapter, you have to fill out a financial statement, and Bill's going to go through that later, but you have to fill that out or the chapter will be deactivated. So we have chapters that do the minimum. They're kind of in the yellow state. And then we got chapters that do the very, very minimum, do fill out that report, but basically not having meetings and that, and those are the ones we're looking at. Is it really even worth having them as chapters? So we've tried to look at this at a statistical basis, and what we've done is we've taken these statistics, and you'll see I'll spend a few minutes on, to give you a health of where you sit, where you go. This is not a grade. This is not somebody is going to get points. The intent of this whole thing is for us to look at where we can help, whether it's a mentorship program or whether it's getting help from the office or one of us to come work with you. We're here to help you, and I want to show you where other chapters are doing, so you get a feel. It doesn't fit for everybody. Not everyone's going to have 10 scholarships to give away, but you could probably come up with one the way the office works, and we can show you how to do it. So that's kind of where we're doing, and again, we're using this to also helps us in chapter leadership. We've had chapters that just because of the nature, they can't respond because of deployments and stuff, so we figure maybe there's a better way to do it. And we have worked with a few chapters to correct and make something a little stronger on that area. So this next chart is data points collected. This is pretty much what we track right now at the national level. Obviously, like I said, member count is very easy to track. Scholarships are official. We put money. OSMs, we got a great handle on anything from silver and above, to include Lady Laredo and the Knight. As you guys know, on the bronze, you do it at the chapter level. You have to report to us. So at the worst case, we could be 5 off a chapter, but that's got a pretty good handle on the awards. Election of officers, we don't know unless you tell us. The biggest problem we're having is with meetings. As an example, we probably get under, I forget what the number is, Barbara, but we might get information from 50 to 100 chapters. Just as a data point, not that we're going to put this system in place, but AUSA tracks every time somebody goes to a VA home or something, and they get responses between 8,000 and 11,000 back from their chapters per year, and we're under 100. So we have a huge problem, and we're going to talk about that shortly, on how to fix that so we know what everybody is doing for good reasons. And then we do activity reports, which is a yearly thing, so we can make sure our data is straight. We're getting a recall on that of under 10%. We have national funding, which I'll show you, that you can request, and most chapters do as well in that. Then we have an AAR after that. Then we go other things, just like your chapter members attend the summit. These aren't graded per se, but it's a nice thing to know. Last year, I think we had all but 4 states represented, all but 4 chapters represented from some member that attended the conference. Again, this is the chapter representation at our summit meeting. This is the first time we're ever doing this, so this is a start. And then magazine articles, Soldier of the Month, Soldier of the Summit. So there's a lot of information that we're really trying to do. And the problem is we've gotten into the technology age. When Quad A was formed up, and over the last 20 years, it was very simple. You want to have a meeting, you called up to Quad A, they put it out in a flyer, they sent it out, they were able to track it. But now people are just doing things fast on email, and so we kind of want to do this. So this next chart, which it's hard for you to see up here, but it's in your packet. Again, we try to do quarterly, get the statistics per chapter. And the color codings on here are kind of an internal color coding that we look. Obviously, if I can get something blue and greens all across, this is very similar to those that are in industry, kind of tailored this after of how you how you record a proposal that goes in per se. You want everything to be blues and greens of across where we're going. There's a lot of fine-tuning to do in this. There's numbers that are off. I will tell you, like I said, the chapter meetings is very, the data needs to be worked, and that's why I've put out at the end of the year this chapter where you come back and look at this. We sent it out to everybody and said, is this right? So if we have something wrong, you do have a chance to come back and tell us, but hopefully we'll get that corrected during the year. But we use this sheet for a lot of different pieces. We're able to see the health of the chapter and see where things are going. Okay, some of the quick metrics on this. As you can see from 14 to 15, from a membership gain, and Dave's going to talk to you more about membership in general, but from a chapter perspective, in 14 versus 15, you can see in 14, most of the chapters were losing membership. In 15, most of the chapters are gaining membership. Now, do the gains and the losses from the ones that are losing memberships, well, Dave will talk to you more on that. But that's a good thing. So those chapters that are solid, those chapters that are, I consider blue-green chapters, are gaining membership. So it's a good point, and it gives us a good data to look at. And then the metrics to the right, this is pretty much how we track those data points that I was just talking to you about. Member recognition, we're getting a little better in that. We stay about the same on OSMs. Now, OSMs can be a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing can be you're having an OSM program. If all of a sudden you went from 2 to 30, that could be a bad thing because maybe you're just handing them out. So we look at it from both perspectives. Scholarships, we stay about the same on scholarships. National support, as you can see, that's where you guys come in and request money. We've actually increased on there. But chapter elections, now by the bylaws, chapter elections, you're supposed to rotate 1/3 of your group every 2 years. Now, we don't push that much because most people don't do it, I will tell you that. But we want to make sure you do have elections, and more importantly, if you have elections, that we know about it at national so we know who the president, especially chapters that are overseas and have a lot of turnover. So we definitely need help on that. And the one is, again, I said that is our biggest issue is the metrics on chapter meetings. As you can see, this metric shows that we had a big decrease in chapter meetings this year. I'm not sure that's true. It's just we need the data to see where you guys are, and that's something that we'll work on. The next chart here is where we get money, and Joan Crosby is going to talk to you about the financial picture. But again, for 15, we supported 66 events that we gave money to up to $5,000 for the national office. So $150,000 comes back into the chapters, and 38 chapters, that's over half of you, know about it and are taking advantage of it. The others that don't, we'll work with you if you need it, but that's there. And as you can see, the split out, this was just kind of we do an after-action report. and this is the split out of how we do that. So really where we've got to do is our focus areas is the next chart. Like I mentioned before, chapter meetings and tracking, that's one that we're going to work on pretty closely. Reports to national, we need some help. Publicity, everybody's doing well on publicity. I try to rotate. I have a running list of getting chapters recognized. During the meeting, if you approach me later, if you have not had an article in the magazine, I've got slots slipping up for the rest of the year. Please talk to me and I'll slip you in. If not, I try to reach out to chapters to do that. And then the recognition, we'll talk about that throughout the piece. Chapter activity, I just put this in here. Right now we get money in when you have a meeting. As I mentioned before, it was tied to get things done ahead of time. But what we're looking at, this is just a thought. We're looking at a better way of maybe refunding more money, take the same pot of money we have at Quad A, redistribute it differently as we go through, and maybe as we do have this activities and we know more what's going on, we'll work out that. So there's some ideas in there that we're going to ask as we talk later, if we have some time, to see which ones we can work on. And then, as I mentioned before, we have an annual fiscal report that's different than the annual report. I'm talking chapter. This is the one I told you I got 10 responses last year. This is really where you guys need to tell us as a year in of any organization of this is what you did and this is what you plan to do, so we can plan for next year. We need to know, are you going to have the same events, how much money? Because the board has to allocate a certain amount of money at Quad A National. If we know you're going to have a lot more, we can go into the board and get that ceiling approved or not, but we have to know ahead of time. So again, we try to get this in by the 31st of December. Okay, the last chart I had is really awards. We changed the awards procedure this year at the chapter level for Chapter of the Year. We used to get everybody would sign in and put themselves up for Chapter of the Year. You know what that does. If you're a good writer, the thing gets up good. So what we tried to do is really something different this year. And we took that metrics that I showed you, that spreadsheet. We looked at that spreadsheet at the NEG level, which is the president, myself, the VPs. We looked at that. We split it down to the top 50%. We might change it this year. Who knows? We can fine-tune it. But we took that data, those charts, just those spreadsheets, and we sent it into the national, to the regular awards board. And they selected from that the chapter of the year in each category. In this case, it was the air assault for the super chapter, Mid-Atlantic for master, Flying Tigers for senior, and the Bavarian for chapter. And that's how it was done. Now, what I did at the same time, as I told you, that spreadsheet I put things in, maybe I didn't weight anything specifically. I gave everything a point, pretty much, and I put it in, and when I rolled mine up, believe it or not, the top three came out exactly to what the board selected, and the fourth one for the regular chapters, I had a tie with another chapter. So the process worked for the first time out of the thing, and we're going to try to make it better, and we're going to try to look at how we can, when a chapter does get Chapter of the Year, what's important to you when we get it, besides recognition? How can we make that even a more important event? So that's kind of where I wanted to go through at the front end of where we are. Like I said, the discussions, I want you to think about this stuff as we go. We're going to have time for wrap up, then I'll come back. And again, I'll take a few questions in the beginning here, but at the end when we're done, this is where we're going to kind of look at how we can try to go, and we're going to have a piece on there. So anybody have any specific questions for me at this point that anybody wants to bring up? And we get the mic over here. And if there's a question that goes in a particular area a little deeper, I'll probably defer that to one of my counterparts that's going to be briefing that section.
Jan, back on page 6, you mentioned that, or it states that if there's only one chapter in the state, members will automatically be assigned to that chapter. 1 year and 2 years ago, we had a couple of hundred folks in the state of California with either no affiliation, but they certainly they did not have an affiliation to Southern California. So what happened to those folks now? Because they were not assigned to my chapter.
Like I said,
or
right,
the desert
right now,
chapter.
yeah, right now we have a list, like I said, we try to get them into some kind of a chapter. I don't have the specifics, John, but, we can track that, we can find out for you. What we're trying to do with like a state of California, we just did it with New York. New York actually took chapters that were 2 chapters and they made them into 3 or 4, or they're trying to expand because they're trying to find out which groups are. One of the things, one of my counterparts, one of our VPs is Mark Weiss that works a lost the guard thing. So we have to look at those people where those members are. They should be affiliated with a chapter. That's what we're trying to do, but I can't tell you if they're over in another bucket. And again, we'll have to take that as an action to find it exactly.
Okay. All right. Follow-on question that is that Northern California does not have a chapter,
Right.
has not had one for a number of years, and everyone I've spoken to or that I had a chance to talk with, I've pushed this suggestion on that Northern California needs to have their own chapter.
Well, and that's just what I said. Mark Weiss, who has our VP now of National Guard, with most of those kind of chapters will nuclear around. But if somebody you have to have somebody that wants to do it. If you know of somebody in that area that wants to set something up, we will, like I said, we're on a roll right now to how to do it. There's a whole procedure, so we'll kind of work through how to do that.
Okay, I have two other questions, as long as I have the mic. The last 2 quarters, I've received a blank check for having not had meetings where I, in fact, have had meetings. What are we going to do about that?
Okay, again, I'm going to defer that one to General Crosby and the financial folks, and when they're going to talk a little bit more detailed of exactly that problem you have. Because, again, part of the problem is, as we said, we have a communication problem back and forth from the chapters. We need to find out where the issues are, but we will address that one.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
We have a procedure in place. We haven't used it in the North California situation, but it's easy enough to do. We can sort all those people in California that are not in your chapter or geographically located north of you in Southern California. Questionnaire goes out and say, hey, you don't have a chapter in your area. Who would like to step up? And you need 25 guys to say that they want to do it, and where do you want to locate? So we can go ahead and exercise that option, or immediately when we get back, we can put all, whatever you said, 200 into your chapter, and they'll start getting notices, et cetera. Of course, geographically, California is so huge, the odds of those people coming down are remote. But at least they will get, chapter affiliation, and maybe that is what will motivate them to go ahead and form their own chapter. As far as the rebates you're talking about, the money you get per member per meeting, Jan said we used to do all the graphics and everything out of the national office because we were at one point the 3rd largest mailer in the state of Connecticut. We literally were taking dozens of bags a day down to the post office. Now, because of digital communications, you guys frequently will send out an email blast to have an event, 2 weeks from now. We don't even know about it. So if we don't know about it, we can't go ahead and rebate your money per person per chapter. So it's possible, like Dan said, there's communication breakdown, but it's critical that we find out that you're having your one meeting per quarter because you're just throwing money away if you don't get the money back. You're entitled to it.
Right. In both these instances, we sent the notification to national.
Okay, he said in both cases they
And
went through.
we're aware of it, and we're going to work through it. But it is an issue that I'm glad John brought up because, again, it's a two-way street. Things break down, and we just need to find out. And if it's constantly breaking down, then we need to fix the process, and that's what we're here to do.
Get time for one more quick one?
Yes, sir. I'm taking your time. So,
Hey, I'm under the impression that we don't do a good job at taking advantage of the free membership for the soldier and the NCOs every month. Some chapters, like the Arizona chapter, are mostly industry civilians. But for now, it doesn't appear that I have the option with the Arizona chapter to give a free membership to somebody that's not a soldier or NCO. Can we ever address that in some manner?
That's actually incorrect. If when we if you have a chapter, if you have a program of the, and what he's talking about is, as you saw in my chart, there's only about 12 chapters that take advantage of the awards at the chapter level where you do, Aviate, a Soldier of the Month, a Soldier of the Quarter, or DAC of the Quarter, or it could be Chapter Member of the Quarter. If you have a program that you're going to set up, and it's a viable program, you get it to us, we'll be glad to support you. I'll work with membership. Some chapters paid out of their membership fees, but we're trying to get that done. So if it's a matter of a chapter membership, I know we'll get support. And if the wording is wrong, we will fix it. But if you have ideas like that, the recognition is part of our pillar. So
Yeah,
we'll
that's
definitely work away.
the concept is you have a something of the month.
Yeah.
The National will give you one free membership per month for whatever you think is most efficacious. in
Or
your
quarter or
particular
whatever
area.
we figure out.
So use it.
That helps get our membership up. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good morning, John Feist from Tar Heel. You talk about communication. I know our chapter struggles with just communicating out to our members as well because, through my civilian work, I can't use those same tools to publish a website and maintain that continuity. So we really lack any type of continuity from all the awards and all the key members and stuff like that. And so, you try Facebook, but a lot of people don't want, because of the current threats, don't want to be on Facebook, so it's hard to communicate with them. Some people email. And so, I was just looking at even from a chapter's perspective, even if a simple one page, that you could provide for the chapters, that we could just maintain some continuity that way possibly.
Okay.
Because of the funds, we're not going to use our funds to maintain websites and all that. And that way we could at least link and point back to all the other things on your website. But that's one of the biggest challenges we have is just the communication.
Jen Chittum's going to be here, and Bill, I don't know if he's going to talk to her, but she's here. We'll make sure she comes in, and we're going to try to figure something out again, whether it is linking something into an automatic thing to the web page or that. These are issues we need to address. If you have ideas on them, I'll table that one because I'd like to, bring back communications. To me is the biggest issue we have, and hopefully we'll spend some time at the end to wrap that. I'll take one more question because I want to try to get Bill. Bill's got to get out to a few other meetings. So, anybody have one more? Yeah, sure.
Hold on, you got to get it on tape, Hawk.
Hang on.
You got to get it on tape.
Hey, Jan, this is a great profile that you've given us, and I appreciate it, and I think it's a lot of good stuff that we can use. I just ask you would you send this out to everybody in the room so that I can use this when I go brief up the commanders?
Yeah, all this will be available electronically. The whole presentations, we'll get them out to folks after. So.